Testing 1, 2, test. Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh boy. Hello? Can you hear me, guys? Testing 1, 2 again. Oh boy. Testing. Hey, Mr. Joe, how are you? All right, we're going to take off where we left off yesterday. We were doing the triplets on one surface as R equals right, left, right, and L equals left, right, left. That was on one surface. Do you understand that, Joe? And whoever else is listening or watching or whatever, do we understand that? If not, I'll go over it a little bit. Hold on. There you go. Oh, Lord. What happened? Hold on. Hello, Ed. Hello, Randy. How are we all doing? Good. So last night we left off with the triplet. R equals right, left, right. L equals left, right, left. On one surface, line one of stick control book. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the line 2 of stick control book. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or line 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, right, left, left. Now, do we all understand that? Come on, mouse, where are you? We all understand that so far, gentlemen? What I want to do now is take it to a drum set application. Okay? And we're going to use a substitution. All right, so now, if I did the first line of stick control book on one surface, it's just an alternating triplet. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to use a substitution. Instead of using the right hand, we're going to use the bass drum in its place. So now we have line 1 would be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now what I want to do is develop it against the jazz time. Line 1, between the bass drum and the left hand. All right, we're going to run down the lines. Now, it's not easy. Well, it is if you approach it simply and not try to play the whole thing all at one time. Example, if I did line 3, I want to get the feeling between the bass drum and the snare drum. Well, line 3 on the PDF would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that for a while. Feel it. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And adjust your sounds. Now, the next move would be, let's try to do it with the left foot on heel and toe, 2 and 4. So, line 3 would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Sorry. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. We understand that. And we play it against the time. And notice how I'm doing that time. Line 3. Now that's on the PDF. Let me see what formula that is. And you can follow. That's formula 508. All right. If you see how I wrote it out this time, instead of on the left-hand side using right, left, eighth notes, what I'm doing is I'm swinging it. Okay, so I presented it a little different. So let's just try. What I would highly recommend, if this is a new movement for you, is run down a few lines just with the bass drum and snare drum. Line 3, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, line 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get the feeling of it. Challenge yourself. Try to do, say, the left-hand side of the page. Or actually, yeah, that should be 1 through 12. That's all I gave the PDF on. Now, when you feel good about it, add the jazz time. And just pick a line and work on it. Line 5. Back, 3 and 4 and 1. Line 5. So on it. I got to rearrange this set. This is driving me crazy. I can't feel where I'm going because I tried to get all these tom-toms up. Now I'm going to lose this tom-tom and this tom-tom. So my ride cymbal is right there where the tom-tom is. That's what I'm accustomed to. So I'm going to use 4 drums on top. We use the small tom, the snare, the 14, and then the 16. So I'm going to lose it. And I'll just double bass drum This seems what everybody wants. I don't understand. You know, yeah, I have a hard time just playing with one bass drum. Everybody wants to play with two. So anyway, all right, that's the stick control formula 508. Now here's how I would approach it. The first page, you have four different exercises. So the interpretation for, say, line 1 is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I'm sorry. I'm on a different one. Ingadabanga. Oh boy, I'm bad. Sorry, guys. I need a secretary. We're on 503. I'm sorry. Hey, Ken, how you doing? Is this your first time here, Ken? I want to get into the lesson and I'll give you all the particulars after the lesson. So here's how I would approach this. Line 1, all right, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay. We're going to interpret it as a formula. R equals 1, left equals. So now, with that being said, what I would do is take line 1, swing the first measure. Instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, what we want to do here now is go 1 and 2 and, no, you don't even want to do that. Let's do line 1. The second measure, that's the right side. I should label it as 1A. All right, but I would do, instead of using the right hand, the right cymbal, I'd use the bass drum and I use the formula, the bass drum and the snare drum. So line 1 would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's the line 1, the second measure, less the ride cymbal, less the hi-hat. Okay, so now, once you get that going, 1, 2, 3, 4. Feel good about it. And like I said, adjust your sound and your voices against the jazz time. Now, it's very important when you're playing this, you want to get that straight 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and now I'm going to add the does. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now, if you listen to my cymbal, the 4 notes sound the same. 1 sound, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and I'm pushing the 3, 4. 1, 2, in my left foot, then line 1. Okay? Okay, Ken, that's good. Are you on my mailing list, Ken? How many we got here? Okay. Now, I will do that with each and every single line. Now, if you'd like me to go through 1 through 12, I'll do that. But I don't think that's necessary. And if I went through line 1, line 3, and line 5, that's your basic concept. Okay, so if I did line 3, again, what we want to do, that's the number 3 on the PDF. We have right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. And what we're going to do, okay, is we're going to do line 3, just the bass drum and the snare drum. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, Now, it's not difficult. It's playing each limb, like the right foot and the left hand, to as the exercise. But when you add the ride cymbal and you add the hi-hat, it becomes a whole different game. So whatever works for you, however you want to approach this, that's fine. I don't know the level of jazz independence, whether you went through Jim Chapin's Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer, or you're following Gary Shafee's triplet variations. Well, I don't want your email. You email me so I add you to the mailing list. Let's straighten that out before I forget, okay? Here's my mailing list. Hey, Ed, could you put my mailing list? Yeah, being in the bongo, I can't even talk. My email down for him, please? Thank you. For somebody. What you want to do is you email me, I add you to my mailing list, and I will send you the PDFs to these formulas. Not a problem. Okay? You still there, Ed? Randy? I got to rearrange this whole set. I'm so uncomfortable. Thank you, Ed. This thing drives me crazy. That's my email. Thank you, Ed. Okay, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. I just want to show you what you're doing on one surface. Okay, let's go to the other formula, 5008. Now this is basically, I should have given you this first, but I want to give you the hard stuff, so I want to torture you. No, just kidding, guys. If you go through this whole thing with me with the triplet formulas against the jazz time and the Shafee formulas with the jazz time, using the stick control book as a reference, you can, without a doubt, open up Jim Chapin's Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer and almost fly through the whole thing. It makes life easier. Okay? So, the next one is 5008. I know that you don't have these, Ken, but you will. I'm going to add you to my mailing list, and after the lesson, I will send them to you. So if you want to view the lesson again, because it's being filmed. All right, it's going to be on my channel here. As soon as it's processed, then you could review it. Now, in the beginning, I just went all over the place, but I do want to stay with the formula. So I wanted the 508. 508 is a simple one. All right, I'm taking the first line, right, left, right, left, right, left, and I'm swinging it. That's how I presented it to you. I gave you 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, now, if you look at the formula, R becomes the bass drum. L becomes the snare drum. Okay, so now we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll send it to you, Ed. Not a problem. So I'm taking now line 1 of the PDF or line 1 of page 5 of the stick control book. I'm laying it down to jazz time. My left foot, heel, toe. Free stroke, down, of free. Very mechanical right now. Now, we're going to take line 1. We understand that, gentlemen? One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you'll get it, Ed. Now, line 2 is just the reverse. I swung it for you. Line 2 of the PDF, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And we'll use the same formula. L equals the snare drum. R equals the bass drum, or becomes the bass drum rather. Okay, so line 2 would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we work the jazz time. All right, I'll send everybody to 508. Sorry. Did I finish it? I think. Yeah, I did. 508, everybody's going to get it. Sorry about the Sorry about that. So let's go to line 2. Now it's important with that right hand. Free stroke down, a free stroke down. I'm getting the 4 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Line number 2. Free stroke down, a free stroke down. Line 3. Now, if you don't have the PDF, sorry about that. You'll get it after the lesson. All right, line 3 in the stick control book, page 5, line 3 is right, right, left, left. So what I did, I swung it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm playing it against the jazz time. Free stroke down, that's important. We're not playing an open time, we're playing a straight ahead time. Line 3. Yeah, it's tough, but once you, all right, let me take a different approach. That comment's okay, tough stuff. And it is, for those who are not in a system of counting and understanding the relationship of the left hand and the bass drum and hi-hat with the jazz time. So let's take it like I've never done this before, and I'm going to try line 3. So I dissect it and I say, okay, let me play the bass drum and the snare drum part only. Okay, so I have now, and I'm going to count, I'm going to maintain the triplet formation. Okay? I'm going to maintain an 8th note triplet formation. So I'm going to do line 3, bass drum and snare drum. 1 and the, nice and slow. 2 and the, 3 and the, 4 and the, 1 and the, 2 and the, 3 and the, 4 and the. Okay, against the jazz time. So I get the feeling of that, so I say, and I'm going to do it even slower. 1 and the, 2 and the, 3 and the, 4 and the. Now, you do it 1,000 times, put a timer on, say, take that tempo, put your click track on or your metronome, and play it slow. Trust me, the slower you play it, the more focus you need. And the slower you play it, the more control you're going to obtain. And the more familiar you're going to be getting with it. So you lay it down nice and slow. Line 3. 1, 2. Now if I'm playing a little up, ding, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Line 3. Okay? That's how I would approach it. Dissect it, play the bass drum part and the snare drum part only. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and all right, and then add the ride cymbal, nice and slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and get familiar with the feel. And then after you get that, add the left foot. 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll play down a few lines. I'll play up to line 5 from the stick control. That's line 1. Line 2. 3. 4. 5. Now, we're going to take this to another level, a few different levels. The next level with these particular things, if you're familiar with the Syncopation book, and I more or less got this concept, excuse me, an idea from the Alan Dawson rudimental ritual, whereas he makes the quarter note equal a single paradiddle, to the 8th note it becomes a double paradiddle or paradiddle diddle. So what I do, I use another formula, and I refer to this as the Syncopation Formula, whatever it might be, 101, 1001, 5020, or whatever. I take a line from the Syncopation book and say play all quarter notes with the bass drum, all 8th notes with the snare. Or reverse it. Play all quarter notes with the left hand, all 8th notes with the snare against the jazz time. Now that works miracles. And then from that, like I promised you guys, we're going to work on a few melodies. Billy's Bounce. That's an up-tempo tune, and it's a lot of notes, man. Charlie Parker loved to play a lot of notes. We're going to work on something a little simpler from John Coltrane, maybe Impressions or Blue Train. You know, whatever comes up. I'm going to show you how to apply what you're learning or what I'm teaching you, and how to apply it to a musical situation. And you know, it's just an endless journey, man. How to solo in form, AABA, or whatever the form might be. It's not easy. It takes a lot of consistent practicing, a tremendous amount of focus, and zoning in musically. To me, the only thing that exists in this world, other than my family, is the music. Okay? And that's exactly where I'm at. I don't know where you guys are at. You know, some guys just play, I don't mean to belittle anybody, but they call them weekend warriors. They go out to the weekend and play a gig in a local bar Friday and Saturday, and they play cover tunes. That's a lot of fun to do, and I've done that for a long time. But that's not helping me learn more about my instrument and how it applies to the musical situations. I love the instrument. You know, I could play melodically, I could play rhythmically, I could play fast, I could play slow. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to demonstrate my abilities. I'm here to explain to you how to get better abilities and understand the language much better. Now, from this particular point in the lesson here, do we have any questions? Joe, Randy, Ed, Ken, and whoever else might be here? Any questions? Now, this is not about me playing double beaters 9,000 miles an hour. We will get into some funky patterns. I only could do so much in a half hour to 45-minute lesson. Now, if you guys have any questions or you want me to re-explain something to you, please ask. I'll take a drink of water in the meantime, okay? Okay, something came in. You understand it. It's perfectly clear now. It just takes a lot of practice, man. You know, you can't be worrying about a day gig. I mean, this is my gig. This is what I have. It took me a long time to get to this point. You know, there's times I had to go out and do a gig, you know, to make some money to survive. Okay, Mr. Joe. How about you, Ken? Any questions on it? Well, that's the beauty. See, here's the thing, and this is why I created all my Facebook groups. And a lot of people don't understand it. You know, I don't like this making fun of or you know, ridiculing or whatever. We are everybody here. Me, you, and me and all the other guys that are listening to this, we're all on different levels. We work hard to accomplish that. We want to go further. We want to learn as much as we can. The one thing that we do besides playing drums we have in common is we're all on the same journey. And that journey is to know as much as we possibly can and whatever's new about our instrument and, you know, get better. We're all on that same journey. Do we agree with that? Well, I'm not working from the syncopation book yet. In the future lessons up and coming, maybe next week sometime, I got the Gary Shafee, I have the tunes. There's a lot to work on. You will be notified. Once you're on my mailing list, I will send you the PDFs for the week and explain to you what lessons or what pages and what books we're working from, plus the location of the lessons. So I'd throw them at you, not a problem. And like I said, if you can't make the lesson, these live streams are being recorded. So if you have the PDFs, you can kind of like go back and view the video again, this time with the PDFs. But the syncopation book, you know, everything that's swung, I like to work. I don't have it. I got it on the. Oh, here it is. Hold on. What page? I mean, any page, but we can start with something really simple. Let's go to, it's not simple. Look, it's a little, if you understand the syncopation book, page 34. 1, 2, like I said, all quarter notes are the snare drum. All eighth notes, they're swung, or the bass drum. Here you go. We got that page? We're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4 against the jazz time. That was your first book, Ken? You can't ever go wrong with those two because it's all in there. You know, when I first started, the way I started was, as a matter of fact, it was Memorial Day coming up again. I don't know how long ago this was. I used to live in a neighborhood in Newark, New Jersey. And every Memorial Day, they'd have a parade come down the street. And this was my first really enjoyable kind of parade because I saw a drum corps pass by. And the name of that drum corps, I could never forget them because I joined it, was the Woodsider Cadets. I was a little kid, 11, 12 years old. I said, I want to do that. And it's been this ever since. You know, and when I first started, I went and took private lessons from the local music school or store or whatever. They used to have mom and pop stores back then. And I don't know, this guy was an insurance salesman with little did I know, and he's teaching me how to play drums. So I worked out of the Haskell Horror book, the Buddy Rich book. I took maybe 8 lessons. I said, forget this. You know, this is not what I want. Because I used to have my idol, Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich. You know, I did drum battles with them when I come home from school. But anyway, that's it. I kind of took it off myself. I was in the drum corps, and they showed me their drum corps technique with the rudiments. And back then, it was only 26 basic rudiments. Now I believe, what, there's 50? Everybody's coming up with new stuff. All right, then I learned I get the Haskell Horror book and the Buddy Rich book. And I didn't go through all of them. I was very confused. So I kind of took the journey by myself and practiced and practiced and practiced. I even got suspended from school because I'm on the desk going, and I was in a Catholic school. The nun would come tearing down the aisle and bam, whack me a shot. No, I even had them have my parents come to school because I wouldn't stop. And my father, he was from the old school, and he took my drumsticks and cut them in half. Because I was, I had that thing in school. Then I got into the Army band, and I had a great experience with that. In high school, I was with the school bands, but the Army band was a great experience. Okay, play music all day, and our job as the Army band was to play parades, play funerals, and where I was stationed at, it was an accounting school. So every week they had a graduation, and we would play like we were in high school graduation. But in addition to playing and practicing and learning from other drummers all day long, and this was illegal to do back then, is to play off post. Okay? And I would play off post. I was working 6 nights a week for a long period of time until I got restationed for my last couple months in Savannah, Georgia. Well, the Haskell Horror book's a good book, Ed. It helped me it added to my repertoire, my library. And after I got out of the Army, I thought I was a hot shot, man. Yeah, I'm going to be the world's best drummer, Mr. Attitude. Then I went to another guy in Bloomfield, New Jersey. His name was Carl Wolf. Now, Carl Wolf was a reputable teacher, and he had produced some really good students. So I went to see him for 2 lessons. And he told other students of his that he says, what the hell does he want with me? He recommended me to go see Joe Morello, which I did, and here I am. But we're all at different levels. We all have different experiences. And what we need to understand is to respect everybody, whatever level it may be. But the one important thing is, well, it's all important, but the most important thing is we're all on the same journey. And that's to get better and to learn about our instrument more and more and more every day, and how our instrument applies to the music, and develop our own individual voice. But that's how big Me Too books, I don't know what they are, Ken. Hey, Ken, are you in any of the Facebook groups? All right, if you don't have any questions about the formulas, when this is all processed, I'm gonna label it as whatever formulas we did tonight, stick control book, blah, 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 formula, whatever. And if you want the PDFs, to email me. Well, yeah, you need passion and you need ability and dedication. You have to be consistent, and it'll work for you. I mean, some of us know how much 1a plus 2 equals 3a equals minus x. You know, we're at that level of math. But you know, there's a lot of guys that have a difficult time understanding how to coordinate their limbs. And that's what this is all about. Whatever problem you're having with coordination, I feel that I can help. But if I don't get any questions relating to any kind of technique, you know, I can't help you. Yeah, Ken, Joe Morello was a great learning experience. And I was fortunate enough because Joe Morello lived in New Jersey. He was probably maybe 20 miles from this studio. But when I was studying with him, he was 10 miles from me. And I studied with him on and off for about 30 years, as a friend of mine did as well, Alan Herman. And there's a lot of students that study, a lot of guys that study with Joe, but a lot of guys just went to Joe to say they studied with him, and then they really get into what he was doing. But my relationship with Joe was, we had a friendship. Other than the fact that he was a great teacher and he was a mentor, we had a friendship too. You know, without any lesson schedule, I go down to see him. I said, let's go get a couple of drinks, and we did. You know, we would do things like that. So I was playing a gig, as a matter of fact, in Plainfield, New Jersey. And I was playing 7 nights a week, piano, bass, and drums. And like I told you, I think I told you this one time before, or whoever, I'm not, doesn't, if you didn't hear it, you're going to hear it now. I was playing 7 nights a week, piano, bass, and drums. Great gig, man. And guess who would come in every night of the week? Mr. Joe. I mean, that's intimidating. For me, it was intimidating. And I just blew a whole thing. Every time he'd come in, I think about, hey man, am I holding the sticks right? Am I hitting that cymbal right? Am I moving around the drum set correctly? Then I said to myself, you know what? The hell with this shit. I went up there and I forgot about he was in the audience, and I focused on what I was supposed to. That was the music and having a conversation with the other musicians. I went up there and I played. Whether it sounded good or bad or whatever, anybody wants to label, I don't care. But what was important to me, when I got off for that set and walked towards Joe, he had a smile, ear to ear. And he says, Patella, you finally learned your lesson. Well, let's talk about, you know, your guys here are comparing books. You know, I get, first off, Ken, are you in any of my Facebook groups? If you're on Facebook, you can friend me or get into, I'll put you in all the groups. You'd love them. Anyway, you guys are talking about books that you went through, which is a good discussion. That's really good. But my experience with going through books, first off, I get comments from people about the stick control book. Oh, I went through the stick control book 30 years ago, now I'm repicking it up. You don't go through the stick control book. You stay in the stick control book and you work it, like all the formulas I'm presenting. And it just gets better and better, and so you can be creative. You want to develop a stronger technique, forget the Moeller, forget the Gruber, get into the laws of physics, because that's what it's all about, and the level system. Okay? Now, when I first started, like what we talked about, you know, I have the Buddy Rich book, go from page 1 to the end. And the book is placed on close. That next book, the Syncopation book, whatever, page 8, 9, 10 until we're finished, and then close the book. That's pretty shallow. Good. Well, get into the groups, Ken. Well, thank you. Thank you for the compliment. Anyway, you know, you can't, you know, I went through 100 books and you can't play shit. You have to, what you have to do, the books are a guide. You learn how to read, you learn how to develop jazz independence, you learn how to exercise. But the stick control book is endless. That's the brilliance of George Lawrence Stone. Okay? Now, I have, like I keep telling everybody, I have a video on stick control book the way George Lawrence Stone intended it to be played. I learned that from Joe Morello, so I'm not passing on any bad information. That's the way Joe would play it for when he was studying with George Lawrence Stone. Now, what I would have loved to be is a fly on the wall watching George and Joe in a lesson. Well, that's the Syncopation book and the stick control book, and now the Chafee book and the Morello book. They're hand exercises, man. They have nothing, absolutely nothing, to do with a tune directly, but indirectly they have everything to do with it. I have other online drum teachers or guys posting videos, the truth about technique. What's the truth about technique? You execute correctly with a minimal amount of energy. I can get an array of sound on my drums if I use the laws of physics. And like we talked about last night, Joe, you fight with the laws of physics, you're lose. You let it flow. And that's all drumming is when you're executing. And you have to understand the rules, the level system, the control strokes. It's a language. The more you know about it, the better you're going to play. Okay, guys, listen, it's getting late, and I'll be back tomorrow night. I'm not decided whether I'm going to do another drum set lesson or a drum pad lesson, or maybe both. I don't know. Maybe I'll do both. I'll put the pad back up here. I got to fix this drum set. I got to get rid of these 2 toms, move my ride cymbal, and get the overhead going on, so we'll have a lot more fun. Now, from this particular point, are there any questions? If there's questions, I'll try to answer as many as I can. Or if you have any request of anything that you'd like to go over or learn, if I can do that for you, I will. You know, tell me what you want to do in the up and coming lessons. Okay. Now you want to see my credentials. Okay. It's the Yanks. I don't really follow too much anymore, only because when I was a kid, one of my idols was Mickey Mantle, and I got into the Yoki-isms, or whatever you want to call it. And when that whole crew split, the Yankees were not the Yankees no more. No, not the Red Sox. The New York Yankees. I don't know what they're doing today, but I'm telling you, I was a Yankee fan back then. I'm not really a fan of anything of the Sox or the Mets or the Yankees right now. I'm a fan of George Lawrence Stone and Joe Morello, the stick control book, the Syncopation book, and my DWs. Okay, guys? Tomorrow night, 7:30 again. Have a good night. Let me shut this over while I'm here.